Right, everybody, settle down, please. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Planning Committee. I'm Janetta Social and I chair the meeting. I'll start with some announcements. In the case of a fire, a bell will ring continuously. If this occurs, please leave the building immediately following the green fire exit signs out to the assembly point, which is by the War Memorial on Duke Street. If anyone requires assistance, please let me know. Lifts should not be used. Please remain at the assembly point and don't attempt to return to the building until you've been advised it's safe to do so. The toilets are situated on the landing at the top of the main staircase and on the ground floor in the customer service centre. Please turn off your mobile phones during the meeting. And anyone attending it can film it, but only the councillors, officers, and anyone sitting around these tables may be filmed. Members of the public should not be filmed, so please ensure cameras are pointed only in this direction. This meeting is also being broadcast via YouTube and recorded. When speaking, please may I remind the committee to ensure you turn on the microphone and speak closely into it. A red light will appear on the middle button to indicate your microphone is switched on. When you finish speaking, please remember to turn the microphone off again. Thank you. Dan, do we have any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. I've had apologies from Councillors Papa and Tron, and Councillor Walsh is subbing for Tron.
Right, thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have a declaration at this point? No? Okay, thank you very much. I'll move on to the minutes of the meeting of the 4th of February 2025. Is it your wish I sign them as a correct record? Did I hear agreed? Thank you very much. That's it. Public question time. Any member of the public may ask a question at this point. Have you heard of anyone who does wish to?
No, just one for item 5, which we'll move on to.
Right, thank you. Did you say item 5?
I did, but I meant 6.
Thank you. Item 6 is our application for tonight, 23-01583 FUL and 23-01583 OUT, Strategic Growth Site 7A, Molsham Hall Lane, Great Lees, Chelmsford, Essex. May I have the officer's report, please?
Thank you, Chair. So, members, this will be a fairly short run-through in terms of presentation. Obviously, we're going to cover key items in this presentation, extensive officer report, which you'll have already seen published, so I'll take questions after, if that's okay, Chair.
Yep.
Just some key takeouts from the proposal. Obviously, bear in mind we're dealing with a hybrid application here. That's not unusual. Members will be familiar with this scenario whereby we have an outline, in this case all matters reserved, and a full application for, in this case, the principal means of vehicular access into the site. So, key takeouts from that description, 750 homes, neighbourhood centre, primary school, and then the full element deals with the means of access into the site. So that deals with the substantive part of the spine road that enters the site from Molsham Hall Lane. I'll deal with a few of these comments a few of these topics as we go through. Those are key takeouts from the description. So just to give a flavour of where we are geographically, obviously Site 7, Great Lees. Just dealing with some local context, obviously you have the racecourse to the north of Great Leys Village. We have 7B to the eastern side of London Road. Members will be familiar that we dealt with an application last month for 7B for Retirement Village, so that's 7B. 7C is to the south of that, which splits Banters Lane into to the east of the village. That application is noted in the relevant planning history as an application for 105 dwellings, so expect to see that coming forward this year to a future committee. This is Site 7A, so the substantive element of Site 7 as red outlined on the plan that you see before you. Just some of the context, obviously north of the site we've got the travelling show person site, which is not in the description, but it is relevant in terms of the heads of terms 106. It is relevant for the report in terms of the mechanism for dealing with that allocation requirement. Just further thing to note, I did highlight the local plan and the revision in the pre-submission plan on the left-hand side. That's just to give an aide memoir to the fact that we're moving towards a revised local plan. That has some relevance in this case because the travelling show person site is now designated in its kind of, well, it was originally within 7A itself. Obviously, we've had a master plan since then. We've had a plan application before us last April, resolution to approve that site. And following on from that, the new local plan seeks to crystallise that allocation as part of the local plan, part of 7A, but specific to the travelling show person. So that's why I just pulled up those images just to give you an understanding how that is changing with the new local plan. I just wanted to touch back from the master plan a couple of years ago now. The image on the right-hand side deals with the conceptual layout as we see surrounding Morsham Hall, where it also gives you a flavour of what happens on 7B and C. So that, from a few years ago, obviously master plan approved, that dealt with where the parcels will indicatively go. It gave an idea where the neighbourhood centre was, that pink, roughly rectangular shape in the centre. Gave you an idea where the TSP was going in terms of that purple rectangle north. It gave you an indication where the school site was going to be, so that light blue zone in the centre, and also dealt with connections, so bridleways, cycleways, footways, and plugging into the existing village. So I bring this up at this point just to give you the context of this is a master plan site in the working for several years, and obviously Policy Board and Cabinet have approved the principles as you see before you here. Just wanted to give you an idea what 7A looks like. So this is a conceptual framework. Obviously everything is outlined for the parcels. The vehicle access is detailed as part of the full element, but this just gives you an idea how that breaks down amongst the field parcels, essentially, with the school site still remaining in the centre. Just want to run through some of the policy requirements. So the 7A policy, like a plan, looks for around 750 dwellings, which we achieve. The description is up to 750, so we achieve that number of homes. Travelling show person site for 5 plots. Well, that is dealt with through a separate planning permission, which will hopefully shortly be granted following negotiations on the Section 106 related to that scheme. So this site has a mechanism, this application, or the legal agreement is tied to this current application, will seek to secure the mechanism by which that comes forward. So we can tick off travelling show person from that requirement. Neighbourhood centre is proposed in the centre, so the description deals with all the elements within there. Toonform Entry Primary School with ancillary features such as the childcare nursery. Main vehicle, main vehicle access from Morsham Hall Lane. That is the primary access off the main roundabout from the 131 through a secondary roundabout there. So again, that is a tick in that box. Provision of pedestrian cycle connections. Again, I've got a further slide after this one that will deal with that in a bit more detail, but that is ticked off too. And a well-connected internal road layout to give bus priority so that a bus service can enter the site, and obviously that contribution is dealt with through the Section 106 as well. So essentially what we're saying, what the report says to you is that all of those major big ticket items are dealt with, are delivered through this application. So just to give you an idea of the connections with the village, that's just a washed out graphic of the southern part of 7A. What we get is a crossing into crossing of the 131 at the north end at the roundabout. So that'll be a new crossing proposed. We also get changes, improvements to the Dog and Partridge underpass. So that's east and west side to enable people to walk through there into the village. And then we have Chaseside Bridge further to the south, and then school lane improvements further to the south as well. I'm not quite sure why the plan hasn't come across there, but the main takeout is that we have a new crossing point and we have improvements to 3 existing crossing points from the village into 7A itself. So we have 4 essentially plug-ins that will take residents, pedestrians, cyclists, and on a sort of bridleway as well, so that people can get obviously into the site, but also get from the site to the existing village facilities. So just a summary of the Section 106 obligations. Obviously, there is a large suite of items, as one might expect for a strategic site of this scale. We get 35% affordable housing, so the report deals with that headline figure with a slight change on the mix following viability review. The report deals with the discussions that flowed from that, but headline is 35% affordable housing. Highway works, so I'm not listing all of them there, but it's just to give a flavour. So we've got new roundabout, Spine Road, and we have an internal routing to enable the bus service, which is dealt with through a financial contribution, which is proportionate to this site to enable the bus service to go in, relatively early into the scheme, but appropriate for a number of occupations. Cycle pedestrian bridleway routes are improved and expanded so that we have plug-in into the existing village, but obviously that will allow plug-in into garden community further south as well. A mechanism to deliver the travelling show person site, albeit it's not shown within the application site, but it's dealt with through an off-site provision, but albeit relatively close geographically. A medical centre on site following consultation with the CCG, so that is also within the description as well. So there's commitment to provide a building to deal with that provision. Neighbourhood centre includes a number of uses as noted in the description in order to give that kind of mix of uses that we would expect to see on a strategic site. Primary school delivered through the provision of a 2.1 hectare zone roughly in the centre. Open space, as one would expect, strategic open space, tree planting and parkland improvement. So, we will have a proviso that obviously 3 trees per dwelling, as is fairly standard now, and any shortfall will be a contribution. Parkland improvements deal with mitigation measures for improved parkland, enhanced parkland around Morsham Hall, the listed building in the centre of the site. Outdoor sports contribution is dealt with through a financial contribution to be directed towards a strategic site, potentially further south, possibly Melbourne, improvements there. And then we obviously have Essex Rams and bird mitigation as detailed in the officer report. So in summary, quite a suite of works being delivered on this site. So in conclusion, obviously we have an allocated site here. We have an approved master plan which gives the history, the chronology of how we got to this point. We have a delivery of key infrastructure, including the access and road through the full element of this permission. We have affordable housing provided, and we have 106 obligations agreed. Recommendation obviously is approval subject to conditions as listed. Obviously bear in mind the conditions are different for full and outline as is usual, and the completion of section 106 agreement. Obviously members will be aware there is a green sheet item today that has a rebuttal from the local planning authority ourselves, so happy to take questions on that as well, Chair. So that concludes the presentation, so happy to take any questions.
Okay. Is there anyone who was going to speak?
Yeah, we've got Mr Daniels.
Right, in that case, can we, Mr Daniels, come forward, please?
Is this on? Yep, okay. Good evening, members. I'm here this evening representing the Site 7A applicants, Bellway Homes, Harrow Estates and Moulsham Hall Estates. The applicants would like to thank officers for their detailed report and presentation, which summarised the thorough assessment of the application following its submission in October 2023. Consideration of the application this evening is the culmination of approximately 4 years of work and collaboration between the applicants, officers and other stakeholders. The first major milestone was the approval of the master plan in March 2023, and more recently the TSP site and Site 7B were also approved subject to 106. The applicants are committed to working together to deliver these sites in a comprehensive manner as required by the master plan. As you are aware, the proposals include up to 750 homes, including self-built homes, and a policy-compliant 35% affordable housing provided on-site, which prioritises affordable rented homes. It is agreed that the mix of affordable rented homes will comply with the Council's Strategic Housing Needs Assessment 2023 requirements. Alongside the school, nursery, health centre and neighbourhood centre, a package of wider infrastructure improvements are also proposed, both on-site and off-site. On-site works include significant areas of landscaping, open space and walking routes. Off-site works include extensive highways and public realm works within the local area to encourage pedestrian and cycle travel, promoting increased permeability with the existing village. Substantial SIL and 106 contributions are also agreed, providing funding to, amongst others, schools, public transport, outdoor sports and open space provision. The applicants are naturally pleased that officers recommend the application for approval, and we trust that you will support that recommendation this evening to enable this strategic site to move an important step closer to delivery stage and fulfilling the requirements of the local plan allocation. Subject to securing your resolution this evening, the applicants are committed to working with officers to finalise the 106 agreement swiftly in order to commence delivery of the first homes as soon as possible. As the applicants for Site 7A include 2 national house builders who will each progress reserved matters applications, the rate of housing delivery on this site is likely to be accelerated. Okay. Thank you.
No one else wishes to speak, therefore we've seen all the info. Has everyone seen the green sheet as well? Okay, thank you. I'll open it to the committee. Who would like to start? Oh, Councillor Hyman.
Thank you, Chair. In the executive summary in 1.2, it talks about the 35% affordable homes, but it says that it's only affordable rent is only going to be 19% of the affordable homes. How did we reduce the number of affordable homes from the 22 distinction that we normally ask for?
Thank you, Councillor. The short answer is through viability review. We received a viability assessment just over probably 8 months ago, and that was reviewed as is normal through our independent reviewer. Obviously, we get to a position whereby essentially it starts low in terms of the offering. That has obviously creeped up to 35%. But one of the elements that does give in that negotiation and that review is the mix in this case, which is as members will be aware, it's in terms of a full total policy compliant figure in terms of DM2 and the planning obligations SPD, you'd be looking at a 63-37 split on affordable rent shared ownership. In this case, we get a 55-45 split, still in favour of affordable rent, which does equate to 19% as opposed to the 22% overall. So the short answer is through viability review, and that's the recommendation of officers that this is the best deal that we can achieve at the moment through that process.
Who wishes to be next? You're all very quiet tonight. We can't stop there, surely. Good grief. Oh. Councillor Large.
Thank you, Chair.
Save the bacon.
I was going to ask not a dissimilar question to Councillor Hyden, but that's already been asked. And just to kind of comment that it's a shame that we can't make it 22% affordable rent, but reading the report, I appreciate how we've ended up at this position, and if this is what needs to happen in order for us to get 35% affordable housing, then I'll accept that. I also had a question, I think, about the sports provision, which actually you did touch on in your presentation, which was that there seemed to be concern from Sport England about the provision on site, and so that this could be mitigated elsewhere. And you mentioned potentially at Melbourne, I think, or yes. Maybe that hasn't been decided. But you see, it struck me that's quite a long way from where the development is, and whether there's a possibility of that provision being closer to where the housing is actually going to be, because presumably the idea is that this sporting facility is for the people who are going to be living in this new accommodation.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I think short answer is that Sport England are accepting of a contribution. What does not come across in the report is the dialogue that officers have with Sport England, for example. So we have a figure outlined, a figure agreed with the applicant, but essentially Melbourne is probably the key strategic element. In essence, it's probably 20 minutes journey time. It's not unusual. There might be some travel associated with getting to such a sports provision. I think that what we need to bear in mind is obviously the local plan allocated this site without specific strategic provision on site. So that deals with the history. Obviously, the master plan then, obviously doesn't allocate it within 7A, the largest element, the largest fields as part of this application. We've explored options for, in terms of proximity, closer provision within the garden community, but obviously they have their own kind of spatial constraints as well. So there would be opportunities in reality to use facilities that are a lot closer. However, the contribution is most likely to be dealt with through a strategic contribution, most likely towards Melbourne.
Anyone else? Now, there are two recommendations here, and since no one wishes to say anything else, I'll start with the first recommendation, that I move that application 23-01583/FUL, Strategic Growth Site 7A, Molsham Hall Lane, Great Lees, Chelmsford, Essex, be approved, subject to the completion of a Section 106 agreement, together with compliance with the conditions detailed at pages 11 to 16 of the agenda pack. The details of those items and any variations that may be considered necessary and appropriate to be delegated to the Director of Sustainable Communities Planning Development Services Manager in consultation with the Chair and Vice Chair of the Planning Committee. Do I have a seconder? I do. All those in favour? Yes, let's find that proposal is carried. Thank you. I'll move on to the second application. I move that application 23-01583/OUT, Strategic Growth Site 7A, Molsham Hall Lane, Great Lees, Chelmsford, Essex, be approved subject to the completion of a Section 106 agreement together with compliance with the conditions detailed on pages 42 to 51 of the agenda pack. The details of those items and any variations that may be considered necessary and appropriate to be delegated to the Director of Sustainable Communities Planning Development Services Manager in consultation with the Chair and Vice Chair of the Planning Committee. Do I have a seconder? I do. All those in favour? Thank you very much. In that case, that proposal is also carried. Thank you very much, everybody. I do have one item to note for ourselves. Thank you very much, everybody. The one extra item is there will be a hearing for the land east of Ragged Robins, which is an appeal hearing, and Steve Hall is going to accept that decision and take it forward to the appeal. So thank you, that's just for us to note. Thank you very much, everybody. That's the shortest meeting we've had for a long time.